Welcome to the Deep Dive. This is where you send us sources and, well, we dig into them to pull out the key insights for you. Make staying informed just that bit easier.
Mm-hmm.
So today we're looking at something really practical for English learners, excerpts from the Talk About Your Day in English podcast.
Right, a topic that sounds simple but is surprisingly powerful for building fluency.
Exactly. And whether you're actively learning English or just curious about, how we talk about everyday stuff, there's good material here.
Definitely.
Our mission today, to really get into the core ideas and the practical steps they lay out. So you walk away understanding how to describe your day better in English.
And maybe feel a bit more confident doing it.
Yeah. And what grabbed me right away is this idea that talking about something so, well, basic, like your daily routine, can actually unlock serious progress.
It absolutely can. And the podcast really highlights why it's so effective. It taps into something you already have familiarity.
Ah, okay. So you mean you're not learning brand new concepts and new language at the same time?
Precisely. You already know what you did today. You lived it. The challenge is just finding the English words for it, which, significantly reduces that cognitive load.
Right. I mean, you're the expert on when you woke up, what you had for breakfast, how your workday started or didn't start.
Exactly. So it feels less like this huge, daunting task and more manageable. It simplifies the learning process.
And looking at it from a language learning angle, it seems like a really natural way to practice core English stuff, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. The podcast emphasizes this. You're constantly repeating really useful common verbs. Think wake up, brush, eat, go, work.
The building blocks.
The absolute building blocks of daily conversation. It's like learning those basic chords on a guitar. Suddenly you can play loads of songs.
And it's not just vocabulary, is it? It's also drilling those tenses, like the present simple for routines.
Yes, that constant natural repetition of I usually do this, I often do that, really embeds the present simple tense for habits. Plus, like the source mentions, it's super accessible.
Accessible how?
Well, you can practice it alone, anytime, anywhere. Just mentally narrating your actions or quietly whispering them. No pressure, no audience needed initially.
That's a great point. Low stakes practice.
Yeah.
Okay, though, if someone's convinced, where do they start? How do you organize all that daily stuff?
The podcast offers a really simple, elegant solution. Break your day down. Morning, afternoon, evening.
Ah, okay. Makes sense. It's
That's
intuitive.
Totally. And they give examples. Lisa's routine, for instance. She wakes up around 7:00.
Right.
Does the usual morning things, teeth, shower, tea, breakfast. Starts work about 9:00.
Okay, pretty standard.
Then her afternoon is work until 5:00, followed by an evening of cooking, maybe some TV, reading, then bed around 10:30.
See, that sounds very familiar, relatable.
And then there's Tom, slightly different rhythm. He's up earlier, 6:30.
Okay.
Fits in a quick walk, coffee, checks emails, work starts 8:30. His afternoon often has a break, maybe another walk.
Breaking up the day.
Yeah. And evenings are for guitar, dinner, sometimes calling friends. Bedtime around 11:00 for him.
What I like about those is just how normal they are. It shows you don't need an action-packed life to use this technique.
Exactly. Their relatability is the whole point. They're templates. The podcast basically says, okay, look at these. Now think about your day. How does it fit these blocks?
So you create your own mental map first. Morning, afternoon, evening, got it.
Then you need the words, the actual language, and the podcast highlights that essential vocabulary, those key action verbs.
Yeah, they list them out. And crucially, they give example sentences, right?
Yes, that's so helpful. For wake up, they give, I wake up at 7:00 every day. Simple, direct context.
Or, I brush my teeth after breakfast.
I take a quick shower in the morning.
I usually have lunch around 1 point, using have or eat.
Right. I go to work by bus. I start work at 9 and finish at 5.
I like to relax with music in the evening, using relax or rest.
And finally, I go to bed around 10:30, using go to bed or sleep.
It really is like a starter pack for describing your day.
Yeah.
Pretty comprehensive for the basics.
And notice, almost all those examples use the simple present tense. It's that subtle reinforcement again.
Good point. So they give you the verbs and show you how to use them in the right context for routines. Then it's up to you to apply them to your own life.
Exactly. But just knowing the words isn't quite enough, is it? You actually have to, say them.
Yes, the speaking practice. They have that mini practice section.
Which is great. It's a direct push for active participation. Repetition is key in language learning.
So they give sentences to repeat.
Yeah, simple ones related to the routines like I wake up at 7 o'clock.
I brush my teeth and take a shower.
I go to work at 9.
I eat lunch with my coworkers.
In the evening, I relax and watch
I
TV.
go to bed at 10:30. Just hearing them laid out like that feels helpful.
And they specifically suggest pausing and actually saying them out loud, repeating them.
Right. And, crucially, adapting them. Don't
Mm.
just say their sentences. Change the times. Change the activities. Make it about your day.
That personalization step is where it really sticks. It moves from just copying to actually communicating something meaningful to you.
Okay, so that helps you practice. But what about common mistakes? Things people often get wrong.
Yeah, the podcast is smart to address those too. Because even with simple sentences, learners can stumble.
Like what? What examples do they give?
Well, one specific phrasing error they mention is saying, I take my breakfast.
Oh, right. I think I've heard that.
Yeah, it sounds a bit off. They point out it should be, I have breakfast or I eat breakfast. Those little word combinations, collocations matter.
Okay, good tip. What else?
Consistency and tense. Sticking to the present simple for these daily routines is really important for clarity. Mixing tenses gets confusing fast.
Makes sense. Keep it simple and consistent.
And they also talk about those little connecting words, time words.
Like usually, always, sometime.
Exactly. And sequencing words like then, after that, finally. These words are like the glue. They make the narrative flow instead of just being a list of actions.
Ah. Okay, they stop it sounding robotic.
Precisely. They give a before and after. The before is just, I wake up, I go to work, I eat lunch, I sleep. Very flat.
Yeah, very basic.
The after, using those connectors, sounds much better. I usually wake up at 7. After that, I go to work, I have lunch at 1. In the evening, I relax before going to bed. See the difference?
Oh, yeah. Much smoother, much more natural. So being mindful of those little words makes a big difference.
A huge difference in how natural you sound. So the podcast gives you the tools, points out the pitfalls.
And then throws down a challenge, the daily challenge.
Right. This is where you actually do it. Put it all together.
So what's the challenge exactly?
Describe your own day. Start with the morning, maybe 3 sentences, then talk about your afternoon. Then finish with your evening and bedtime.
Okay, breaking it down again. Morning, afternoon, evening.
Yeah. And they suggest ways to do it. You could talk to a mirror,
A classic.
record yourself on your phone. That's great for listening back and noticing things. Or tell a friend or language partner.
The main thing is just doing it consistently.
That's the core message. Consistent, active practice drives improvement.
And to kind of prove the point, they include a listener example, don't they? Sarah from Egypt.
Yes, a short voice message from her describing her day in English. It's a really nice touch.
Why include that? What does it show?
Well, as the podcast hosts point out, Sarah's message is clear, it's simple, and she sounds confident. You can hear she's putting the advice into practice.
So it's like a mini success story. Real world proof.
Exactly. And it shows you don't need perfect grammar or a huge vocabulary to start communicating effectively about familiar topics. She just gets the key information across clearly.
That's really encouraging, actually. It lowers the bar in a good way.
It does. It reinforces that progress over perfection idea.
Okay, so let's wrap this up. What are the main takeaways from this deep dive into the Talk About Your Day podcast?
Well, first, talking about your daily routine is a seriously effective way to build English fluency because it uses what you already know.
Right. Lowers the mental load.
Second, the simple structure. Morning, afternoon, evening works really well.
Easy to follow.
Third, focus on those core verbs and practice using them with example sentences, like the ones provided.
Get that basic toolkit down.
Fourth, active practice is crucial. Use the mini practice prompts, take the daily challenge, speak.
Don't just listen. Participate.
And fifth, be aware of common errors like phrasing mistakes, tense consistency, and remember to use those connecting words for flow.
Little details that make a big difference. And Sarah's story shows it works.
Absolutely. The biggest message really is just consistency. Keep practicing even if it's not perfect. That's how you build confidence and fluency.
Yeah, that really comes through. Okay, so here's a final thought for you, the listener, to chew on. We've talked about describing your day for language learning. But think about this. Even in your own language, how you describe your day, what you choose to include or emphasize. What does that say about you? About your priorities, your perspective? What story does your daily routine tell?
That's an interesting angle, looking beyond the language to the actual content of our daily lives.
Something to think about.